Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. Okay, there are so many things going on in the news, so many stories breaking, it's hard for us to cover them all, even in the 3+ hours that we have here on Gun Talk. One of the guys I like to have on here because he has a different twist on things. He's a, if you will, almost a social commentator. He's the author of the series of books, Good Gun, Bad Guy. Dan Wos joins us right now. Hey, Dan, how are you, sir?
Tom, so great to finally be able to talk to you. How are you?
I am great. We've been bouncing around our schedules trying to get together, and I'm glad we were able to do this. And I dropped you a note. I said, well, what do you want to talk about? And it's like we're both going, God, there's so many things. I wanted to start off, because you have a way of looking at things and kind of flipping them around and sometimes looking at them from a different direction. People would go, hadn't thought of it that way. So why don't we start off with our buddy, Gavin Newsom?
Well, he may be your buddy, Tom, but he's not mine.
Okay. So he's over in Israel. When you look at that, what comes to mind?
Well, that he's over in Israel?
Yeah, that means over in Israel. They're handing out guns to citizens there.
That maybe he should be taking some tips, taking some notes, because what happened in Israel was a complete tragedy, and partly or mostly due to the fact that Israelis are unarmed and helpless. Exactly what Gavin Newsom is doing to Californians. It's just amazing to me how these primarily Democrats can watch things like this happen in the world and know, because they know, Tom, they're not stupid. They know that unarmed helplessness makes people vulnerable. And they watch it, we all watch it in Israel, and then they come back and they do everything they can to make their own citizens unarmed and helpless. It kind of shows you what they're really going for, because if they wanted people to be able to defend themselves or to be able to be safe, like they say, they're always promoting the so-called safety, then they would understand and respect the Second Amendment, but they don't.
Well, and to your point, we don't have to guess at that, because you look at what they do personally. When they want to be safe, Gavin Newsom is never anywhere where he's not surrounded by a bunch of people with guns to protect him.
This is the hypocrisy that is so maddening, because we know, and Kamala Harris did the same thing. Right after the Israel attack, she puts out a tweet talking about disarming Americans. So we know what they want, and they're blatantly coming out and saying it right to our faces. And yet we don't always catch on. We always think, well. See, here's the problem, Tom. We as gun owners and Second Amendment advocates, we sometimes get in the habit of arguing statistics and arguing, more gun control leads to more violent crime, and where there's more concealed carry by lawful Americans, there's less violence. We always argue these statistics. But in reality, they don't care. They'll argue statistics all day long. They have their own fake statistics. The real truth is they really just want us to be unarmed. And it's not about saving lives. It's not about protecting citizens or children or anything else. It's about making sure that their political opposition, us, the conservatives, the Republicans, the gun owners, are unarmed and defenseless. Because until we are, see, they've already disarmed the political left. Democrats and liberals have already jumped on board. They've already been conditioned to fear guns and hate gun ownership. But they know they can't do that with us, because we're not going to fall for that. So what they have to do with us is they have to go the legislative route. They have to sign unconstitutional laws into effect and disarm us that way.
If I may, what they're actually doing is they do it under threat of force. They say, because we're going to pass this law, and if you don't do what we say, we're going to send people with guns, and we're either going to take you away or we're going to kill you in your house.
Yeah, Exactly. They don't have to do that with the political left, with the liberals. They're easy to manipulate. Those people over there, when it comes to guns, they're easy to get on board because it's easy to scare them. They don't understand. They don't always know about guns. They don't have all the data that we have. So it's easy to scare them and get them in place and get them to support gun registration and gun legislation, rather. And it's also easy to get them to, like I said, hate the idea of gun ownership.
Right.
They don't like us, Tom.
They're going to say, people say, why don't they like guns? I always tell them, it's not the guns they don't like, it's you and me. They don't like us.
Right. They are convinced that we are recklessly and intentionally putting everyone in danger because we won't compromise away our gun rights. And so they develop this hatred toward us. And it's I'm not surprised with the propaganda and the way the narrative is set up that they do that. But that's the truth. That's what happens. So
on the subject of cognitive dissonance, as we were talking about that, one of the best examples of that, and to this day I cannot understand it, absolutely do not understand it, is why Jews in America and other parts of the world would ever, given the history of the world, ever agree to any form of disarmament. If ever there was a population in the world that needs to and depends upon protecting itself with firearms if necessary, it would be the Jews. And yet in America especially, it is largely a widespread cultural belief that they should not have guns and should not protect themselves. I don't understand that, Dan.
Because all of our decisions are based on a hierarchy of values. And when you can convince people when you can organize people's values, you get them to choose that way. So in other words, those, we say Jews who are left-leaning or Democrats, they will always vote politics first because they've been taught to keep that politics as a higher level of value to them. So a lot of times people are taught to denounce and conditioned to denounce their own religion. You see what they do to Christianity.
Sure.
And so when people lose that, because that's typically the highest value people have is God and the way they their religion. So if you can get people to denounce that or discard it, the only thing left is government, and they managed to get government in place of God and religion.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So we, like I said, we always make our decisions based on our hierarchy of values, and if you can get government as the highest value, that's the way they're always going to choose. They're going to denounce everything else.
But sometimes you get a breakthrough, and like this attack on Israel and Hamas and the murders, and people actually seeing it on video and seeing what they did to people.
Sometimes
and now in America, you got this wake up call, and across America now, Jews are going and buying guns, and they're going and getting instruction. And it took that to break them out of this cozy make-believe envelope bubble that we're safe if we all just agree to be safe. And now they look at it and go, there really are people who want to kill us, and not just kill me. They want to kill everybody who's like me. Once you come to that realization, you realize there's no working with or commiserating with or compromising with, somehow trying to find a middle position with people whose only goal is to murder you.
Yeah. Where's the line? Where's the compromise there?
Right. Exactly.
It doesn't exist, right?
Hey, Dan, tell them how to follow what you've been doing, because you are quite the commentator on this, and you bring a different perspective to things.
Well, thanks so much, Tom. I always enjoy talking to you. Wish I could have talked to you in Phoenix. But people can find me at goodgunbadguy.com. That's my book series, goodgunbadguy.com. You can get the book series. I talk about all this stuff in depth and more. Goodgunbadguy.com, and also my web show, The Loaded Mic. It's at loadedmic.com, M-I-C like microphone, loadedmic.com or goodgunbadguy.com.
There you go. Dan Wos, it's W-O-S. Dan Wos, thank you so much.
Thanks, pal.
All right, you take care. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.